Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming News. Today is the 8th August of 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. Today we're going to take a look at two stories. First, we're going to take a look at EA's moral compass, if they have one. And secondly, we're going to take a look at the fact that several new Diablo projects are being developed at Blizzard. But let's begin with today's interesting topic, as in a recent interview for GameIndustry.biz, who was it? The Executive VP of Strategic Growth, Matt Bilby, was talking about two very interesting topics. One about which we have talked already extensively, so I will majorly skip over it. That was the fact that he believes that streaming games will be the future. And just to do a quick reenactment, I do agree with him, but it's not here yet, maybe like 5 to 10 years. But the more interesting topic he talked about were loot boxes. Yes, my favorite topic. And so let's actually take a look at the article here. So the question posed was, finally, there are loot boxes like the FIFA Ultimate Team Player Packs that have powered a chunk of EA's strategic growth over the last decade. With the practice under increasing scrutiny and the Belgian Gaming Commission finding FIFA and other games' loot box system in breach of the law, does EA see a threat to that aspect of the business? And that is a very, very good question. Should EA and other big publishers that use loot boxes very prominently in their games be afraid that they may be losing part of their business? So let's see what he answered. I believe that what we're working through with those specific groups at the moment is an education, Bilby said in reference to international regulatory agencies. Not meant in a patronizing way, but just helping them understand how we design the games and the notion of choice and our commitment to making the games fair and fun. We've learned a lot from Star Wars Battlefront. I really hope you do, and so far it actually seems that you have, because if you didn't, you would be the dumbest people on earth. Like, literally, the Kardashians would be smarter than you. Another question was the Star Wars 2 Battlefront controversy, wherein the game's approach to loot boxes was so criticized that a publisher put them on the eve of launch, was a learning moment for the company that he hopes will prevent this sort of scene from repeating with future EA games. I ran a team internally with Patrick post Battlefront to actually redesign our game development framework and testing platforms to ensure we're giving our game teams the proper guidance. We'll call it an EA moral compass. Yeah. And at the beginning of development, so that we're designing our live service early, we're testing it early, testing with gamers who are giving us feedback, so we ensure those pillars of fairness, value, fun are true, will be said. And he didn't truly answer the question. He didn't say whether he personally was afraid that this might impact their business, and I do understand why. For a very simple reason. He is afraid, but he cannot admit that publicly. That would ruin the business in the eyes of investors. The fact that one of the most important people in EA is worried about one of the biggest money makers for them, that would not look good in the investors' eyes. But the truth is, it is fairly obvious to anyone who can read between the lines that yes, he is afraid of that. And I think for a good reason. Loot boxes are borderline predatory mechanics in games. Literally predatory. Because they rely on the same exact mechanism as slot machines do. You know? Maybe if I just buy one more, I will get whatever I want. In terms of slot machines, it's money. In terms of loot boxes, it's usually legendary skins or something along those lines. So what exactly is the future of loot boxes? I think here is actually where government should step into play. And I've said this a few times before, and I will say it again whenever this topic comes into public interest. Loot boxes are evil. Loot boxes abused one of our very primal instincts that, oh, shiny, you know? And they need to be regulated. Either they need to be allowed to be used only in games above a certain age threshold. I personally would argue something along the lines of 15 plus might be okay, where you can actually think about whether the chances of you getting what you want are worth the money you're spending on it. But there's also an argument to be made that this should just not be available to at all, though I do not agree with it. And there's also an argument that it should probably be made available later than 15 years old. Let's say 18 or maybe 21. I personally am a dirty centrist almost on every issue, so I'm picking up the middle road of 15 years plus. But still, it's borderline. And EA should be very concerned about how the public perceives them because of this. And so should all the other publishers. Because another major screw up with loot boxes, like the one that happened with Star Wars Battlefront 2, could just make countries ban them at all. And I do believe that loot boxes are not like totally immoral. Especially the loot boxes you just get in game that give you randomized items. I don't have a problem with that. But as far as you can spend money on them, that's where things start to get dubious and should be very, very carefully considered. Okay, moving on to our second piece of news. Let's talk about Diablo, one of the most popular games of all time, one of the biggest classics. Who hasn't played Diablo? Whether it's the original Diablo 2, or even if you are like me and actually jumped into Diablo pretty late with Diablo 3. Yeah, I know. But I always preferred more traditional RPG games like Might and Magic, Gothic, you know, these sort of things. But it seems that Blizzard has multiple Diablo projects in the works. So let's take a look at a statement that has been made by the community manager Brandy Nevalist-Camel. And she has written, "Greetings, heroes. I am community manager Brandy Camel, also known as Nevalistis. How do you pronounce that? On behalf of the Diablo team, welcome back to Sanctuary for our newest season. For those of you who still rocking your heroes in Reaper of Souls, you might have noticed that we did something a little bit different for Season 14, themed seasons. The Season of Greed is our first themed season, and we plan to explore additional themes in the future. We'd also like to let you know that the forges here at Blizzard are burning hot, and we have multiple Diablo projects in the works. Some of them are going to take longer than others, but we may have some things to show you later this year. We hope you stay tuned while we work to bring these Diablo experience to life. None of this would be possible without the support that you have shown us for over 20 years. So whether you first joined us in Diablo 3 or you are a seasoned veteran, thank you. Diablo is and always will be part of Blizzard's identity, and we can't wait for the future." So this is sort of a continuation of a story where we do know that Blizzard is working on an unannounced Diablo project. As we know that there were several job listings, one for a dungeon artist, one for a technical artist, etc., etc. And there have been speculations that it could be either Diablo 4 or a Diablo 2 remaster. I personally think it's going to be mostly just new expansions. It's not going to be a brand new Diablo. It's way too early for Blizzard to be making a new Diablo. Blizzard takes a lot of time to actually make their games, and they're still milking all their IPs, and Overwatch and Hearthstone came out so close after each other just because Hearthstone was a little side project, while Diablo 4 would likely be just something they're probably working on, like internally, just designing new cool things that could actually happen in Diablo 4, whether it's creating a storyline or designing new classes, you know, these sort of things. But it's still very likely very far off from being even presented to the public as something that will come out like in 2 years. I'm going to assume it's going to take at least 4, maybe even more years before we hear about Diablo 4. When it comes to Diablo 2 Remaster, well, that's a completely different story. That might actually be happening, though I doubt they would be actually hiring people who are dungeon artists with the description of the job to build atmospheric dungeons with focus on composition, detail, and mood while ensuring that the gameplay space is readable, and an exceptional understanding of form, shape, structure, composition, and silhouette as it relates to world building and modeling. That sounds more like working on completely brand new content rather than just applying some new polish to a game that is essentially created. So what will this probably be? It will probably just be new content for new seasons. You know, new dungeons, new bosses, these sort of things. So if you were really excited about getting Diablo 4, sorry. When it comes to the possibility of Diablo 2 Remastered, I'm not saying that's not going to happen anytime soon, but it will probably not happen anytime soon. What is actually a different chance that might be happening could be a Diablo mobile game. I would not be surprised for that to appear at all, as there are plenty of Diablo-like games that honestly are pretty good for most part. At least the ones that aren't, you know, like just made in a basement by a 12-year-old. The ones that are actual projects by a studio and a team of experienced developers, artists, etc. Diablo-like gameplay is actually okay on phone. You don't have so many abilities, so you don't have to have so many buttons. It's not that bad. The only problem, in my opinion, is the fact that targeting while moving is a lot harder than it is on PC, and thus the levels need to be designed fairly differently. But that actually might be a reason why they are looking for a dungeon artist who has all the necessary qualifications we have talked about. So I wouldn't just say no to a Diablo mobile version, but most likely it's just going to be future content for Diablo 3. And with that being said, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and if you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. If you are watching on Steam, maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow the blog. Either way, be sure to leave a comment and be sure to tune in tomorrow for more gaming news, as we are a source of daily gaming news every single day. See you guys later with more gaming content.